Hello and welcome to this quick tutorial. I'm going to show you how to work a feather stitch. I like to think of feather stitches in terms of their anatomy. They're basically a variant of puff stitch consisting of three parts worked sequentially, starting with a right arm, which is worked into the next chain one space of the project, a leg which is worked down into the previous row, kind of like a spike stitch, and then a left arm, which is worked into the next chain one space of the project. So each feather is worked into two chain one spaces. Typically, the first row of feather stitches in a project are worked into a foundation row, which was created by working half double crochets into every second stitch, followed by a chain one. So you have a sort of lattice consisting of chain one spaces, and directly below each chain one space there is a skipped stitch from the row before, into which you're going to work the leg. Let's go. Start by creating the right arm of the feather. Yarn over and insert into the next chain one space. Pull up a loop. You should have 3 loops on the hook. Pull them up a little bit so that the project doesn't end up being too tight. Next, yarn over again and insert the hook into that skipped half double crochet from the previous row that is directly below the chain one space into which you just worked. 5 loops on the hook again. Really important here to pull them up a little bit so they don't end up too tight. Yarn over again, create the left arm of your stitch by working into the subsequent chain one space of the round. Yarn over, pull through all 7 and chain 1 to finish. It is important that when you work the next feather, you work into the same chain 1 space into which you place the left arm of your last stitch. So yarn over, work into that space, 3 loops, yarn over, work into the space immediately below that, and yarn over, work into the next chain 1 space. So in this way, you've used up 2 chain 1 spaces with each stitch. I want to show you what it looks like when you have an established row of feather stitches and you're working into those. It's basically the same thing again. Now, instead of a skipped stitch from the row before, you'll work the leg into the space between 2 adjacent feathers directly below the chain 1. So start by working your right arm as usual and then place the leg into that chain 1 space immediately below and work into the following chain 1 for your left arm, yarn over, pull through all 7 loops and chain 1 to finish. So let's do it one more time. That's where you'll place your leg, between 2 adjacent feathers in the previous round. It's directly below the chain 1 space into which you work the right arm. Kind of going off camera there, but I think you get the picture. I wanted to show you one more thing before we finish up. This is an example of one of my projects where I have you increasing around to create a semicircle. Things get a little crowded. That is where you will place the leg. It's a potential space more than an actual space below the first chain 1 space that you work into. So let's do it. Yarn over, work into the next chain 1 space. Yarn over again and work into that little tiny space where you can't really see any daylight, but it is directly below, and then into the next chain 1 as usual. I hope that helped. Thank you for watching.